Mr. President, 10 days, for 10 days, you have been watching Israel assaulting over 2 million Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, people being killed, injured, displaced, terrorized. Israel has not spared a single Palestinian family in Gaza. No one should forget that these are human lives, that Palestinian lives matter too, and no one should entertain the illusion that killing more Palestinians will ever make Israelis more secure. Israel has besieged the Gaza Strip for 17 years, has launched repeated aggressions against our people there. Did it make it more secure? How can it convince anyone that killing more Palestinians, more innocent Palestinians, children, women, men, old and young, is the answer? I came to this council many times telling you, the Palestinian people no longer believe help is on the way. Prove them wrong. Restore hope in collective action. You now have important decisions to make. Decisions that determine how the next days will look like for the Palestinian people, for the region, and the entire world. We implore you, be guided by the rule of international law, with no exception or exceptionalism allowed. Don't send the signal that the Palestinian lives don't matter. Don't dare say Israel is not responsible for the bombs it is dropping over their heads. Don't justify the killings. Don't blame the victim. And I repeat, don't do that. What is happening in Gaza is not a military operation. It is a full-scale assault against our people. It is massacres against innocent civilians. Nothing in natural law and international law allows for targeting of civilians and such indiscriminate, barbaric attacks against them. Israel has killed, as of now, 3,000 Palestinians, overwhelmingly civilians. More than half of them are women and children. More than 1,000 Palestinian children have been killed. I repeat, more than 1,000 Palestinian children have been killed so far in this assault. Israel has killed entire families, several generations at a time. As of this moment, 47 families totaling 500 people have been massacred. Still more may be under the rubble. 1,000 people unaccounted for. Most likely they are under the rubble. How do you justify that? You cannot. Every day, Palestinians are killed by Israeli soldiers or settlers for years now. And yet, you always press us to choose the peaceful path forward. You ask us to show restraint. You tell us that violence is not the answer, even as Israel continued colonizing and annexing our land and maiming and killing our people. Why then? Why then, when Israelis are killed, when Israelis are killed, would anyone condone unhinged violence being unleashed against our people? Double standard? Why would this council be unable to call for a ceasefire now, to stop the assault and the massacres? Stopping the killing and destruction is indispensable. The humanitarian and health system in Gaza has collapsed. Over 1 million people have been displaced. People cannot even bury their loved ones and mourn them. Lifting the siege and ensuring immediate and unhindered humanitarian access are equally urgent to save lives. I told this Council months ago, regardless how hard taking the necessary decisions may seem now, the consequences of not taking them are infinitely higher. We are at that moment. Taking these decisions then would have saved many lives now. Further delay will only condemn more people to certain death. You know what is worthy of your unconditional support? It is the rule of international law and human rights, justice and peace. So no Palestinians and no Israelis are killed anymore. I repeat, so no Palestinians and no Israelis are killed anymore. So our people can finally live in freedom and dignity in their ancestral land, and two states, Palestine and Israel, can live side by side in peace and security in line with your resolutions and international law. We stood in the midst of the storm and stated, no civilians should be killed. International law has to be upheld. At the same time, Israeli officials were speaking of mighty vengeance. Don't you think Palestinians have much to avenge, including the 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, whose lives are being shattered once again as we speak? This logic will destroy us all. It should not be tolerated. It is not enough to state that you disagree with it. You need to actually stop it. Israeli officials said, justifying their assault on our people in Gaza, that they were fighting human animals, quote unquote. What would have been your reaction if any Palestinian official had done the same? They said they would cut water, electricity, fuel, and food for millions of Palestinians, and did so in an inhumane and unlawful collective punishment, as bombs were destroying every remaining aspect of life in the Gaza Strip. Mr. President, three things must be done now. Anything else would be legally, morally, and politically unacceptable. One, stop the assault on our people now. Two, allow immediate and unimpeded humanitarian access throughout the Gaza Strip now. Three, stop the forced transfer of our people now. Civilians should be protected wherever they are. Israel has no right to force them to choose between forced displacement or death, or subject them to both. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Families embrace every night, not knowing if it is for the last time. You have the staggering numbers of those that were killed. I wish you could take a look at their lives, how they pursued it with courage and creativity despite monumental hardships, a blockade and repeated assaults, only to see it taken away in an instant. Think of the pain of those who survive. Think of how the rest of their lives will look like, including the over 10,000 wounded so far. If they survive this, nightmare. In the next hour, Israel will kill 12 Palestinian civilians, including 5 children. And then the next, and the next, and the next, until you decide to act. It is important to recognize the need to protect civilians and to respect international law. It is far more important to actually provide such protection and uphold the law. Nothing can justify the killing of civilians, said all of you repeatedly a few days ago. Regardless of the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people, their legitimate grievances, the pain and suffering they endured and continue to endure, regardless of the dispossession, occupation, colonization, blockade, killing, mass imprisonment, they cannot resort to violence to free their land or protect their people. Then, by the same logic, nothing can justify the killing of Palestinian civilians. Discrimination and double standards are not only unjust, they undermine the rule of international law everywhere. Think of your credibility the day after. Think of deepening divide between the West and the Arab and Muslim world, between North and South, between communities. Our conflict is a political one, not a religious one. That is what makes it solvable. But it has an impact, given its significance regionally and internationally, in coexistence and peace across the world. If you do not want a regional spillover, an international spillover, stop the massacres. Start there. Start now. We are grateful for the efforts of all those who are mobilizing to stop the carnage, to allow humanitarian access, and to put an end to the forced transfer. We will continue working with them. Every minute counts, and the Palestinian people in Gaza have no time to lose. Sayyid al-Rais.
Mr. President, in conclusion, to the Palestinian people I say, it might seem that the world has abandoned you, has abandoned your children, that you're left alone at the hands of the unjust occupation that wishes to ensure that your cause fades into obscurity. But I assure you that the free people around the world, and there are millions, the peoples of conscience are with you. They hear you, they see you, they support you. They fill the streets of the capitals of the world. They're rejecting Israeli crimes against you. They're supporting your freedom, your dignity, your just cause. Know that justice and peace are coming. There is no doubt about that. The Israeli occupation, regardless of how much it kills and destroys and oppresses, it will end. The state of Palestine, with East Jerusalem as its capital, will be established. We will not fade away. We will not waver. We will not fade away. We will not waver. We will heal our wounds. We will restore our hope. We will remain. We will survive, because right is on our side. And those who have right on their side do not die, do not fade away. They are reborn, they stay. I thank you, Mr. President.